Literary conflict. External versus internal. External conflicts takes place outside of the body, so between two people. Internal conflict takes place inside of the body and the mind. External. There are 3 types of external conflict. First one is man versus man. The most straightforward type of conflict pits the protagonist directly against another character with apparently opposing aims. So as you can see in the pictures, we've got 2 guys fencing here, 2 boys physically fighting, and we have some different characters here also fighting against each other. External, we have man versus nature. This type of conflict pits a story's main character or characters against a natural force such as a flood, predatory animals, or disease epidemic. So animals, something like a forest fire, a disease that spreads over a large amount of people, such as something called SARS, that would be an example. External, man against society. In many stories, the protagonist battles an unjust element of government or culture. So man against the government or a law made by the government. Internal conflict. There is one type of internal conflict. Man versus self. Some literary conflicts take the form of a character struggling to overcome fear, addiction, emotional damage, or another crippling personal issue. All right, now let's practice. Decide what type of conflict is being illustrated in the following pictures. Let's take a look at this one. Man versus, what is it? We've got a house, we've got flooding, and we have a boat. What do you think it is? It is man versus nature. All right, we have a guy with some headphones. He has a straight jacket on. It looks like he's in a pretty small room. What do you think this one is? Man versus... This one is man versus self. He's fighting with his emotions on the inside. As you can see, there's not another character for him to have a conflict with. All right, let's take a look at this picture, number 3, man versus... What do you think it is? This one's man versus man. You see a man and a woman having an argument. All right, number 4, man versus... This is a picture of a guy who's with his attorney in court with a judge. This one would be man versus society for breaking a law. Number 5, man versus... This one's a little girl who is crying. What do you think this one is? This one is man versus self. So she has an internal conflict that she's having an issue with right now, so she's crying. Ooh, take a look at this one. Number 6, man versus... What do you think this one is? It's a kangaroo punching a photographer, and the camera's going flying in the air. This one would be man versus nature because it has an animal having conflict with a person. Number 7, man versus. This one could be seen two different ways depending on your perspective. This one could be man versus society because it looks like somebody's sticking up for something that they believe in, and it also could be man versus man. Number 8, man versus. Which one do you think this one is? This one is man versus man. These are two guys wrestling as a sport. All right, practice. Now that you have mastered pictures, let's try some text. All right, man versus. If she had only proceeded more slowly, if she had only taken the southerly route, avoiding the icebergs, if only the watch had a pair of binoculars. All right, so this is from the story about the Titanic. So key word here is icebergs. Man versus what for this one? All right, this one is man versus nature with icebergs. All right, number 10, man versus. Charles decided to break all the rules the day he decided to steal that car. He was immediately arrested and sent to jail to await his trial. He should have known better than to mess with the rules. All right, key things here is rules, breaking the law. So what would this be? Man versus man versus society. Number 11. I don't care who you talk to, screamed Sarah to the west. I just wish I had never met you. All right, so man versus what? She's screaming at someone. What do you think this one is? This one's coming up. Man versus man. All right, number 12. After lowering himself into the damp and dark cave, Tom began to reprimand himself for not having replaced his flashlight batteries. Tom's terror slowly began to take over as the light around him grew dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. All right, this one has to do with Tom talking to himself in his head. So this would be man versus self. Number 13. After the light in the cave was completely gone, Tom began to stumble through the cave blindly, cutting his hands on what appeared to be sharp rocks. So what do you think this one is? Man versus. He's cutting himself on sharp rocks. All right. Man versus nature. Number 14. Tom found a dry spot to sit down in the dark and began to obsess over an argument he had earlier in the day with his mother, in which he had said, I hope I never see you again. All right, what do you think this one would be? If Tom is talking to himself in his head. All right, man versus self. He's fighting with something on the inside that he said to his mother. Number 15. Tom's mother was upset that he wanted to skip going to college in order to splunking in all the world's greatest caves before he turned 30. Tom didn't understand the big deal. He didn't really believe in structured learning anyways. So he wanted to go explore different caves before he turned 30. His mom didn't want him to go, and he didn't understand what the big deal was. So it's just man versus man, because he's arguing with his mother.